edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. Josh and Anthony with you as always. And tonight's going to be a shorter episode as we're just going to focus on the Wake Forest game from yesterday. As you all know, it was a 95-57 Carolina win in Lawrence Joel Coliseum. The win pushed Carolina's record to 20-5 overall and 10-2 in the ACC. And this game, quite frankly, wasn't really close. After the first media timeout, Carolina, pushed the lead to 18-0 at one point and never looked back. They were just so locked in defensively against a Wake Forest team that we knew entering the game had problems scoring the ball all year long, whether it was in the half court or in the open court. And Carolina just, feasted on that and got a nice, solid, easy road win. I was allowed to get some players healthy as we get ready to go to Duke on Wednesday night. So, Anthony, we didn't really learn a whole lot yesterday, but there were some things we need to talk about. So what was your vantage point of yesterday's performance at Wake Forest?
Cam Johnson's pretty good, right? Can we agree with that? I mean, 7 of 10 from three while playing injured.
Did I tell you that I might have mentioned this in the last podcast, he made the Wooden Award midseason list, but was left off the top small forward in America list.
You had brought that up, and I don't care. You can bring that up the rest of the year because that just makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just contradicting. How could you be one of the best players in America, but then you're not one of the best players at your own position? Yesterday's performance should let's just add him to the list because this kid, not only can he score, he is an efficient scorer. He doesn't take bad shots, and even when he's taking one from deep, it's that's probably going in. And I'm not gonna lie. You know how I feel about us bringing in transfers from other programs. I'm not a big believer in that.
Come on, man. Johnny Knox was a huge contributor from Alabama. Okay.
I'm just gonna say I was wrong about that because I don't know where this team would be without Cam Johnson, both last year and this year.
Well, I mean, one of the other things that I just found weird, they were discussing it on the broadcast yesterday, and I cannot remember the guy that was the play-by-play guy yesterday because Tom Wormy was not with Mike Jaminski. He called the Notre Dame and Virginia game. So it was Evan something, and he had said to Mike Jaminski, did you really expect this from Cam Johnson coming into this season? And, I again, not that performance yesterday where, he was 7 of 10 from three. That's an outlier. But, Cam Johnson has just been so effective offensively. And he asked Mike Jaminski, did you expect that to happen this season? Did you expect him to really be this much of a scorer? And, I mean, from our perspective, I think this is kind of as expected. I mean, I don't know about you, but I expected Cam Johnson to either lead the team in scoring or be second on the team in scoring behind Luke May. Of course, we didn't see Kobe White doing what he's doing, so because he was a true freshman, so that's a pleasant surprise. But when we talked about Cam Johnson, we really said, okay, this is a guy that we can see leading this team in scoring because he does have that effective outside game. But, we've also seen him develop over the last, season and a half with Carolina, a little more than a season and a half with Carolina. He's developed that inside game where he's able to drive the basket and finish inside. And he's also been a guy that is willing to, get back in transition and finish at the basket as well when it comes to fast break opportunities. So, I don't think it really shocked anybody, but that was one of the things that kind of just stuck out to me and it kind of had me scratching my head. I was like, really, Mike? I mean, this is – and Mike Jaminski, look, you could say, he was a Dookie and everything like that. I mean, look, Mike Jaminski, I think, does a fantastic job and usually is on top of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that was one of the things that just kind of shocked me.
I think, I know it's going to sound cliche, his play this year is such a direct reflection of he's actually healthy. He was probably never last year 100% because he had the surgery in the offseason. He got hurt in the preseason that delayed his debut.
Right.
And then he had nagging injuries all year long. And we've finally seen him healthy. And he's also getting coached by a Hall of Famer with a great coaching staff that's grown his game from. I mean, at Pittsburgh, he was just a spot shooter. He's going to find somewhere, stand, catch and shoot. And it's like you said. And I've been hard on him all year long about getting inside because he's got some size to post up, or to even take your man off the dribble. And he's gradually improved in those areas as the season's gone along, which has made him so efficient. And that's why. When he's got the ball at the 3-point line, they kind of have to sag off of him now because there's that third one, and he might take me off the bounce and get to the cup. So he's just really grown his game. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play for the Warriors because he just seems like that kind of player. Because he does all he wants to do, huge threes, rebounds, doesn't really play any defense, and so he's going to be a great NBA player.
Well, you just described almost every team in the league. I mean, the Knicks could definitely use him as well at that rate. And I mean, the Houston Rockets, I think, they saw 7 of 10 from 3, probably thought it wasn't enough shooting from 3, probably said, I'd rather be up around the 20, 30 shot attempts from 3 mark. But I think, their scout might be looking into Cam Johnson here a little bit more as well. But I think you're right about Cam and how he's developed and everything like that. And I really see him as more of probably a jump shooter at the next level. I don't think he's just going to be a spot up guy. I think he has shown the ability to create inside of the 3-point line. He's really developed that mid-range game very well. And he's also developed a floater that, we really didn't think we would see from him. That was something I think that's kind of become as a, unexpected surprise, and it's really been a pleasant one. But when you look at, not only his development, which, by the way, his story is crazy because I did not know that he had actually transferred early in his career from Vanderbilt. He actually transferred away from Vanderbilt because he didn't like the head coach, Kevin Stallings, that he originally committed to. They butted heads. Transferred away from there, went to Pittsburgh, and who do they hire? Kevin Stallings, and then he transfers again. So that was a weird story. I did not know that he was actually with Vanderbilt originally. I thought he was actually an original pick commit, but that was definitely a crazy story. But I mean, the development of really just all of these guys, we saw it yesterday. Brandon Robinson. Fantastic game again, bouncing back after, a game that, we said against Virginia, look, he saw 18 minutes and really didn't have the type of game that we were hoping that he would have if he was forced into that type of action at any point. And then Seventh Woods, he was fantastic yesterday against Wake Forest. 4 of 4, at one point scored 7 straight points for Carolina, even hit a 3-point shot. So you can see, again, Seventh Woods was that guy that started the year very well. And I think a lot of people early in the season were saying, him and Kobe were kind of neck and neck. Seventh was the guy that really just didn't turn the ball over all that much. So, he might have been the safer option. Of course, Kobe has really stepped up and shown that he is the starter there. But I think, Seventh Woods, he's had some moments where he's been quiet, but I think, he's had some moments like this game where he can step up and get you some points off the bench whenever you need it. And also, he distributes the basketball pretty well. Now, of course, he didn't have an assist yesterday, but at the same time, we've seen his ability to distribute the basketball as well. So, seeing guys like Brandon Robinson and Seventh Woods, who, were highly criticized last year, step up and play much better this year, I think has been fantastic. And this was one of those games where they really showed it.
Yeah, just really an all-around, great team effort yesterday. A good chance for Brandon and Seventh and the bench to get a lot of action because this game was over at halftime. The big part of that was because Carolina just shot the ball really, really well in the first half, 74% in the first half. For the game, they shot 62%. They shot 64% from 3, and that was on 25 attempts. It wasn't just like, they only shot 10 or 11 and made them. No, they chunked some up there and made them. They won the rebounding margin 39-36. They did allow Wake to have 18 offensive rebounds, but when Wake missed 35 shots, and they actually were entering the game as one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the league, so Wake excelled at that.
They were the best. They were the best,
actually. The only thing Carolina didn't do good yesterday was, quite frankly, they didn't shoot free throws well, only 3 of 11. So they, at one point, they were in danger of setting the school record for fewest, which is 2, which dates back all the way to, it might have been Matt Doherty's final year as head coach. And then they turned it over in 15 times, but they forced 20, so you can limit that department. But probably their most complete effort in ACC play. It was really, the perfect time to tune up after the tough loss against Virginia on Monday at home. And now we got the road trip to Cameron Indoor. I think they needed that kind of performance to have some confidence back in themselves. I was really worried about, if they find a way to struggle, because maybe they were looking ahead to Wednesday, because that's all the media wanted to talk about after Monday was, well, you play Duke next week. Well, that's next week. We still got to play Wake Forest first, and it was just good to see the guys be focused and ready to play from the opening tip.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on with that, and I think this game I think would have been a little bit different had they won that game against Virginia, because then you're 11 or there's a chance that you could be 11-1 with a win. You would have been on an 8-game win streak at that point, and that's maybe when you start saying, okay, there's going to be one of those games. There always is. There's no way that this team was going 17-1 in conference. And again, you never want to lose a game, but Virginia is not a team to be ashamed of losing to. Now, it was at home, and that definitely hurts, but, this game against Wake Forest, I think that Wake Forest, they always say it whenever we lose a game, whenever Duke loses a game, Kentucky, whenever the Blue Bloods lose a game, or a team that, frankly, is just coached by a great coach like Roy Williams, they always say, you don't want to be that team that plays them after a loss. I think Danny Manning, if you interviewed him today, would probably agree with that. And I was with you. I was wondering, how would they come out? Would they be a little sluggish? They came out, they went up 7-0, and I said, okay, we've been here before this season. Remember, lost early in their year against Texas, we were up 11-0 and completely fell apart after that. So it's never a guarantee that when you get a great start. To me, I'm almost that guy that doesn't want to get ahead that far early, because when you do, there are times where you get a little too comfortable and you allow the team to get back in the game. And so, I thought they did a really good job, because, once it was getting up there 12, 15-0, all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, okay, this could get out of hand. Then Nazir hits a 3 to make it 18-0, and you're like, okay, this game is probably getting out of hand, because Nazir Little, he's not a guy that's been hitting a lot of threes this year. That was the moment where I was like, we are ready to go. This team's locked in, and it's going to be a good day. A long one for Wake, but a good day for us. And, I'm with you. That's exactly what they needed in the game before Duke. Get some momentum going back in the right direction. Get your feet back below you. And now it sets up, look, you got that win out of the way on Saturday, and now you can just focus on this game against Duke all the way up until Wednesday at 9 o'clock when it tips off.
Yeah, and I do think it was important that they had the struggles at the foul line. Like, I know in the moment it's not good to watch your team go 3 of 11 from the charity stripe, especially because we're above the average from the I'm starting my words for some reason tonight, shooting free throws and then the turnovers, but it allows Roy Williams and the staff to be hard on the guys even after such a dominant and impressive win, and just really keep them hungry, because they're going to need to shoot free throws really well Wednesday night, and they really can't afford to turn the ball over, because Duke thrives off live ball turnovers, so getting run out dunks with with Zion and all those other guys. But we're going to go ahead and. Is there anything else you want to add to this? Because I know really just we're going to focus on Wake Forest, because Duke is its own separate entity because it's Duke, and so I just want to make sure you have nothing else to say in this shorter edition of the Roy's Boys podcast.
Not really. Just. Great job by all of the guys, everybody getting on the score sheet except for Walker Miller. But he did actually get on the score sheet with a rebound, so it wasn't like he didn't do anything. But no, just great to see some of the guys that were out there as well. Kenny Smith, I know, was out there, so good to see him out there, to be able to watch his son, who got on the score sheet with the 3 of his own. So other than that, I think they're, again, you said it. And it's something that you're going to run into when you have teams like Wake Forest in the conference this year. You can't take a whole lot away from this. Yeah, it's a great performance. Wake is terrible. Let's be real honest. This is the worst team, I think, in the ACC by far. I think Boston College is also down there with 2 wins, but Boston College has had a lot of injury issues. Wake Forest is just simply an awful basketball team, and I don't think there's really a ton that Roy Williams is going to take away from this game. He'll take away the free throw thing, believe me. That's one of the things that he'll be harping on for the rest of this week, probably Tuesday and Wednesday, Monday and Tuesday when they practice. And then, of course, Wednesday night, that'll be one of the main things that we'll probably be keeping an eye on throughout the game as fans. And Roy will probably be keeping an eye on as well. But I wouldn't expect them to struggle again. I don't think there's anything that you can really take away from it. I mean, look, they only got to the free throw line 11 times, and 6 of the 11 shots at the free throw line were by Brandon Huffman, who didn't come in shooting all that well. So, I don't know how much you can take away from it. Not a lot, probably. But good win, and now we're at 10-2 in the conference. 20 wins on the season, and more importantly, we're turning towards what is the most important game of our season so far, and one of the 2 most important games so far, the second one being the game later on in the season when we're in the Smith Center against them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So we're going to go ahead and shut this podcast down for the night. I know it's a shorter one, but the Duke content which we'll have Tuesday is going to be great, so make sure to check that out.
4-hour show, guys. Lock in.
Yeah. It's going to be a marathon, just talking about this great rivalry and just celebrating and also breaking down the game. We were talking earlier. We both have different viewing points of what's going to be important for us to find a way to get a win, and really, it's my favorite sports day of the year. And it's even better if you find a way to win in their building. And so we'll get to that later this week. You can subscribe to this podcast through Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio. Check out the Roy's Boys blog. You can find it on Medium, Facebook, and Twitter. Also check out Anthony's Heel Tough blog covering Carolina football. Mac Brown and the staff continue to do a really good job on the recruiting trail. And we're getting closer to spring practice, which is just a couple weeks away. And he keeps you updated on that. So I want to thank you guys for listening, and go Tar Heels.